Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Thank you for your patience right now. We are dealing with some technical issues here. Hopefully, we'll get them figured out. Testing. All right, just making now the audio. Trying to figure out why the audio is not working now. Hold on, let me turn this on. Give me 1 second, guys. Figure this out. All right, you there? You there? Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. Figure this out. I think we are back here. I think we got some audio. All right, you there? You there? Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. Figure this out. I think we are back here. I think we got some audio. You there? All right, we are back. We are back. I'll pay attention to the chat. Should should be good now. For some reason on my side, it's not showing that it's that good, but I'm not going to look at that because that's going to distract me. It's going to distract me. All right, guys, we got a lot to talk about today. The activist judges. We got some breaking news on that, some stories you won't want to miss. We're going to be talking about some of the craziness. There's actually a video we're going to show you over here in Worcester, Massachusetts. Voted to become a sanctuary city for transgender and gender diverse people. Who was that? I think we covered that like 9 months ago. Sacramento did that. If you guys remember, about 9 months ago, Sacramento did something like that. And we actually covered that. That was quite interesting. The clowns. And that's kind of what it looks like. A bunch of clowns. You would think this was a clown show going on. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into some of the exposing of some of the activist judges, their ties to U.S. aid, their activism, exactly what it's been, exactly what you would expect. And so we're going to talk about that. I want to thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please give us that thumbs up. We appreciate you. We can't do this without you. And just grateful y'all are here. So thank you very much. We also got a little information on DHS. Secretary Noem has pulled back the $59 million that went to the hotels that facilitate the TDA gang. That was in a tweet not too long ago, which is great news. We'll get into that. Not too much border stuff, but definitely some stuff from Tom Homan. And Doge. The Democrats are just upset about the fact that Doge is actually cutting cost. And let me pull open the first one here.
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't.
All right, here we go. Let's take a look at this. Hey, it worked there.
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yes, I can. If you say that you're afraid of Trump and that's why you don't want the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
Wow.
I'm shaking right now. I don't want to be here.
Please.
I'm sorry, am I taking too long pleading for my life?
You remembered how many children I have and that 2 of them are trans.
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT.
I'm multiply disabled. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that causes me immense physical pain. I'm on the autism spectrum, and I have narcolepsy, and I couldn't drive myself here, so I had to hide from my driver that I was in drag, which is not an easy thing to do in drag.
I do not want to be here. It's my day off. I do not want to be in your DMs. I do not want to be in your email inboxes. I do not want my creativity writing diss tracks like Kendrick. I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter on my face so that you will hear and see me. I want you to listen to me.
Let us remember that the Nazis burned the books that the Nazis burned books on gender sciences first. Now the
Hold on. I gotta take a break here, guys. Wow. What is going on with this, folks? This is almost a parody. Like, remember when Saturday Night Live was funny? This is something you would have seen in Saturday Night Live that would have had you laughing your tail off. We're gonna finish this up, but we're going to see more of this, folks. There's a mental illness epidemic in this country. When men can't get into women's sports, when men can't get into girls' locker rooms, there's an outrage. And the Democrats support this outrage. But let me go ahead and finish this up.
administration has villainized and marginalized migrant workers, trans, LGBT people, and even special needs, denying life-saving and affirming care.
Can you look at me and tell me how many of my friends need to die before you do anything?
Please wrap
Look
up.
at me!
Okay, we're all done here.
Fucking
We're all
pathetic!
done.
Of course, we need to continue celebrating Black History Month because, in spite of what's coming down from Washington, we all know that we all exist and we all need to be recognized for our existence.
But be aware that you are a guest in my house when you come. And when you come, know that there are strong queer and trans people in my classroom who will collect you with the quickness.
My name in drag is Dee Dee Delight. And my name out of drag is Dewey Cosgrove-Atienza.
Ladia LaRouge, he, they, in drag, District 3.
My legal name is Olivia D'Ambrosio. My public name is Livy Scanlon. My wife and I own a home in the Canal District.
I speak as someone who is always misgendered, like all the time. People refer to me as sir when I prefer to be referred to as ma'am. I speak as someone who is afraid to use public toilets. I speak as someone who is a member of this community and is a queer person.
You have to imagine being me and my wife, fearing that our marriage rights will be stripped away at any moment.
Please, I only have so much time. Please, Joe's gonna cut me off.
Which matters more? Covering the legal fees of systemic police brutality or protecting the lives of queer people in our community? How many lives have to be lost before you consider fighting back against fascism and corruption?
Now is the time to say that if federal money relies on the dehumanization of trans people, that we don't want your goddamn money.
I get that some of you care more about easy funding than trans lives and don't mind Nazis for some whatever reason, but
Normally, I would say good evening, but through the chair, I will only impart my sour grapes.
It's an extremely emotional and taxing thing to stand up here as someone as part of the trans and gender diverse community.
My name is Katie. I'm from District 5, and I'm speaking in support of agenda items 10B and 14B. Right now in our country, Trump is threatening the trans and gender diverse community.
Noticing people here are trying to control the rights of others, and that's not right. We should make Westboro a sanctuary city for trans people. Everybody deserves to feel safe, and everybody to feel safe. I've lived here for 4 years, and there hasn't really been any changes in how people feel safe in the city. My birthday is this Saturday, and all I want is peace and for you to vote yes. Please don't let me down for my birthday. There's a lot of queer people that I love. The Candy Carlson, you should know to never hold someone. It's I'm 7, and I know better. The kids are watching, and you're ready to vote you out.
I really don't know what that is all about. Literally, that's real life, folks. That what you were seeing there, the city of Worcester. We have a mental health crisis that is very disturbing, to say the least. I think you guys get it. I think you guys have seen it. I don't know why. I don't know why we even put up with these clowns. I mean, that's what they are. They're clowns. They're absolute clowns. And it's upsetting to think that that we're going to have to deal with this for, and it will be 4 years. These people, again, sad little people.
Driving the car.
I wanted to show you this here.
Driver.
Volume is loud. I wanted to show you this here really quick. And I thought it was interesting. So when you're protesting in the road, there's a chance of being hit by a car. Well, these people that were protesting America Last, protesting for another country, holding those other countries' flags. This is just a quick video I want you guys to see and take a listen to it.
Driver seemed fully aware of the presence in front of the vehicle and proceeded to drive straight towards it.
It says the driver seemed fully aware of my presence. I think you seemed fully aware, obviously, of the car coming down the road. Like, I don't feel bad for these people. I actually applauded this. I laughed at it. It's unfortunate that it didn't knock some damn sense into you.
The individual driving the car stood down for a couple participants right before.
The group essentially surrounded that car. Based on the preliminary information we're hearing, the driver may have gotten very concerned, was confused about what to do in that situation. Some of the individuals may have actually hit the car with their hand.
Driver seemed fully aware of my presence in front of their vehicle.
The driver, again, always the victim here, folks. Always the victim here, folks. I am so sick and tired of these self-made victims. You know what? Deport that one first. Let that person go, whatever country they're from, go walk in the road and see what happens. See how they can sit there and complain and cry about what's going on. It's just absolute insanity. Sound is very low on this clip. So I got a lot of work to do, guys. I've tried working on the sound. I can't, I got some stuff I'm going to be doing tonight. I spent all last night trying to do it. And now I'm having other issues. So I'm just going to try to get through the show. It sucks, but bear with me. We're gonna get through it. Check this out. This is another crazy one as we start off with the wokeisms. Texas RW says the sound is okay here. I was getting it okay on here too. I know it's probably a little better than it has been, at least when I did a test stream. But when I was doing the test stream, I wasn't having my audio mixer all over the place right now. So I gotta get that fixed. And once again, I apologize. Listen to this. These are the people we're up against. And then you ask yourself, how do these people get on school boards? Lauren Marchaza, a board member at Mentor School and former manager of Planned Parenthood, says their school won't follow Trump's executive orders because she only has to follow state law. This is in Ohio. This is from Libs of TikTok that is sharing this. It says, newsflash, Ohio governor signed a bill a few weeks ago cracking down on radical indoctrination in schools. So not only is Mentor schools violating Trump's executive order, but they're also likely breaking Ohio law. Listen to these people. How do we get here? How do we get here?
And they were supposed to stop initiative initiatives related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Again, this one's on right now, so I don't know that we necessarily need to evaluate whether and how this is going to affect us because it's being litigated. So lots of uncertainty there. The executive order, there were 3 regarding education, but only 2. The third one was about higher ed, so we don't need to worry about that one. One of the executive orders that was issued on January 9th is called Ending Radical Indoctrination K through 12 Schooling. This one seeks to cut federal funding for schools that teach what the administration describes as gender ideology and critical race theory. That I think that this one that we have to really pay attention to is the phrase consistent with applicable law. I think that kind of gives everybody a little bit of flexibility in terms of like what is legal and what is not. But basically, what we have to remember here too is that, and I think there were also some patriotic education and so on. But what we have to remember is that the power for educational curriculum is still with the state. I know there has been talk in the news about, returning education to the states, but the power for education curricular control is already with the states, and there are multiple provisions in federal law that prohibit the federal government from getting involved in state and local decisions about K-12 curriculum. So no executive order can actually overrule that federal law. So I think that's important to remember. The other executive order.
This. Oh, man. How do these people get elected to boards, guys? I mean, if you care about your child, your grandchildren, you need to actively campaign against these people. There are great people out there that think there's some degree or doctrine you have to sit on a school board. You don't. It wasn't intended for that. When we went to school board meetings, I remember when we talked about replacing people, they were like, well, we got 18 years of experience on this school board. Well, first off, there should be term limits, but second off, it shouldn't be that difficult to do what's best for your children. It really shouldn't. And it's upsetting to think that, we're going to allow this. And not just that, the next video I'm going to show you from Foothill High School, Bakersfield area. I got to watch what I say, but take a listen to this. Imagine a group of students walking into a classroom. And when that happens, they just absolutely go after and beat the holy hell out of a student. That's what happened here. Take a quick watch. For the last 15 years, we've heard Democrats say white supremacy is the biggest threat to our country. Obviously, as a distraction. Your kids should be able to go to school and feel safe. It's simple. Your parents should not have to worry, like, is my child safe? Again, I think teachers, and I'm not talking armed with guns, but I mean, if the school district is going to allow these students, so what they do is social justice reform, restorative justice, so that kids don't get kicked out. We talk about education all the time. Back when I was a kid, if you couldn't read, you didn't go to the next grade. Now they're graduating people in California with 5th grade reading level comprehension skills. We need to go back. And again, I know I want the Department of Education abolished. I think it's a big waste of money. It's like every other little NGO. They're pretty much an NGO, even though they are a federal department. The dollars don't go to the students. And we have so many different schools like LA. They just want their kids in class. That's all they want. They don't care how bad they are, how they act, what they learn. They just want the dollars for that child. And I seen that and I was like, oh, hell no. If you guys seen this earlier, we had some great news, great news. That's right. Tulsi Gabbard was confirmed this morning. We were live for that. If you missed that earlier this morning, we were live for that. Confirmed as Director of National Intelligence. The only Republican to vote against her was Mitch McConnell, of course. And I don't know if he knew what he was voting. I mean, the guy can't walk upstairs, can't walk downstairs, can't get through it. He's very similar to Joe Biden. The guy needs to go. The guy needs to go. And here's that vote here. Let me pull this up. Mr. McConnell, no. We've talked about McConnell for years now. He's never been on our side, just like Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is another one that can actually go. We're going to talk about what the Democrats are doing and the constitutional. Where'd that phone go? I don't know where it went. Oh, well. The constitutional crisis that Democrats are talking about. The constitutional crisis is that Democrats are saying because of Doge, because of Elon, because we're exposing fraud, there is a constitutional crisis. And we got these rogue judges, and we're going to talk about those rogue judges right now. You do not want to miss the rogue judge part. Listen to what the White House press secretary had to say.
Now, before I take questions, I would like to address the extremely dishonest narrative that we've seen emerging over the past few days. Many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering the American people into believing there is a constitutional crisis taking place here at the White House. I've been hearing those words a lot lately. But activists, rather than honest.
All right, I'm sorry. Let me do something.
Now, before I take questions, I would like to address an extremely dishonest narrative that we've seen emerging over the past few days. Many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering the American people into believing there is a constitutional crisis taking place here at the White House. I've been hearing those words a lot lately. But in fact, the real constitutional crisis is taking place within our judicial branch, where district court judges in liberal districts across the country are abusing their power to unilaterally block President Trump's basic executive authority. We believe these judges are acting as judicial activists rather than honest arbiters of the law. And they have issued. Now, before I take questions,
so let's get it. Let's get into this. Let's get into this. Hold on. We're going to talk about this. We're going to see what extremists on the bench are they talking about, because they can't be honest, right? I mean, judges are supposed to be impartial, supposed to follow the lead of the Constitution. Well, I can tell you this. Laura Loomer did some great reporting on Judge John McConnell. That is the federal judge from Rhode Island who ordered Trump and the Trump admin and Dodge to unfreeze billions of dollars. So I'm going to read some of this, and then I'll show you the post and then show you some other stuff there. It says, Judge John McConnell, the federal judge from Rhode Island who ordered the Trump admin and Doge to unfreeze billions of dollars in federal grants, has a daughter who currently works for the U.S. Department of Education as a senior policy advisor and was appointed by Joe Biden on February 14, 2022, which is a conflict of interest since Trump and Doge are planning to defund the Department of Education. It says John J. McConnell Jr., Chief Judge of the U.S. District Court in Rhode Island, ordered the Trump administration to immediately restore frozen funding and accused the Trump admin today of failing to comply with his prior order to unfreeze funding. The reason why Judge McConnell, a Democrat donor and activist, wants Trump to restore funding is because of his daughter. It says Catherine McConnell is currently employed by the same Department of Education that President Trump and Elon Musk want to audit and defund. She was appointed by Joe Biden, and now her dad is abusing his power to protect her paycheck. It says this is a conflict of interest that Judge McConnell should have recused himself over, but he chose not to. He ruled against President Trump and abused his judicial power to protect his daughter's livelihood at the bloated U.S. Department of Education. And I'm going to show you some pictures right here. His daughter, LinkedIn right here. So there you have Senior Policy Advisor, Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education. Been at the U.S. Department of Education for 3 years, 1 month. And originally, like I said, was put on there by Joe Biden on February of 2022. Woo-wee. Man, I love it. Good work bringing this out to the light, Laura. But we got more. I'm pulling it up now. This one says more exclusive evidence. I have uncovered the X and Facebook accounts of Judge McConnell, which proves he has been involved with the Biden administration. It says on May 3rd, 2024, Judge John Jack McConnell tagged himself at the White House during the Biden admin where his daughter, Catherine McConnell, who was appointed by Joe Biden to the Department of Education, spoke to Joe Biden's commission on advancing, listen to this, educational equity, excellence, economic opportunity for Hispanics. In his Facebook post, which I have screen recorded, archived, and posted below, he said, so proud of Catherine. This is the same judge who just ordered Elon Musk and real Donald Trump to unfreeze federal funds they froze to cut government waste and fraud. The federal judge failed to disclose that his daughter was appointed by Joe Biden and currently works at the Department of Education as a senior policy advisor. Trump and Doge have said they want to defund the Department of Education. Judge McConnell has a personal and financial conflict of interest and must immediately recuse himself. And she put up some of the posts here. Let's see. Well, there's more. There's always more with these activist judges. This is, again, Judge McConnell. And more stuff is coming out, again, because these are activist judges. This one from Defiantly Free said, this is Judge McConnell, who issued an order without any legal precedent cited, an order that was rubber stamped by a court of appeals that has only Biden and Obama judges on it. We have a very serious problem with the judiciary, one that transcends who the president is. If we don't fix it, we are going to be in serious trouble. We are going to be in serious trouble, folks. It's without a doubt. Take a look at this.
I've put together a diversity and inclusion and racial
justice. This is a judge.
Person needs to understand the being that comes before us, that maybe a woman, maybe black, maybe transgender, maybe poor, maybe rich, maybe whatever, where courts stand and enforce the rule of law that is against arbitrary and capricious actions by what could be a tyrant or could be whatnot. We saw plenty of examples of that recently. So too often, to really understand this, we fall back on that judges should have no opinions and whatnot. And that's just not true. We have put together a diversity and inclusion and racial justice committee that has 3 goals. That in many ways racism is a white people's problem, and white people need to figure out how to solve it and need to do the hard work to fixing it. We all have race.
This is I don't know about you folks. Does that sound like a judge to you? Does that sound someone that's impartial? Does that sound, I mean, he said Trump's actions were tyrannical, didn't he?
Could be whatnot. We saw plenty of examples of that recently. But too often, to really understand this, we fall back on kind of a stereotypical comment that judges should have no opinions and
well, there you go. And again, now that all this is coming out, I think even people that were in the middle of the road saying, just let it take its course. The court's got to do this. I mean, there is some people that think that way, that thinks the executive in charge has no power, that the government is controlled by judges and they can dictate where money's spent, where it's not spent, whether it goes to NGOs, whether your tax dollars are wasted or not. And I just find it ironic that this is how we do this. Before Judge McConnell ordered Trump to restore U.S. aid funding and called him a tyrant, he was accused of buying his lifetime judicial appointment. He spent over $700,000 contributing to Democrats and funneled thousands to his state's 2 senators who recommended his appointment to Obama. They refused to recuse themselves from his confirmation vote. So there's this guy's got a lot of bad stuff going on, without a doubt. Elon Musk put this out. It says federal judges who repeatedly abuse their authority to obstruct the will of people via their elected representatives should be impeached. And it's a poll. It's over 250,000 votes right now. And it says, let's see here, 91.3%. So 91.3% agree with that poll. But there's more. There's another judge. But before that, Rep. Andrew Clyde stated that in a tweet, I am drafting articles of impeachment for U.S. District Judge John McConnell Jr. He's a partisan activist weaponizing our judicial system to stop President Trump's funding freeze on woke and wasteful government spending. We must end this abusive overreach. Stay tuned. That is, when we talk about how deep the swamp is, they've done this. Remember when we used to talk about how they've taken over the colleges, these woke professors, these anti-American professors. This was all a long strategic plan starting in the 60s. And look at how well they've done. They've done judges. They've done our colleges, our education centers. It's almost beyond repair. I mean, literally what needs to happen, and it can't happen, but is the same thing that's happened to these agencies. Now, there was this, and we're waiting to hear more on this. Again, I haven't been able to research this since I was working on the show, but I wanted to get this. It says a federal judge has ruled that President Trump does in fact have constitutional authority to freeze or limit certain federal funding. This means the Trump White House can withhold funding without the district's court's prior approval. And we'll play this video from Fox News for you.
And limit access to federal funds on the basis of the applicable authorizing statutes, regulations, and terms. Essentially, yes, the government can do so in complying with regulations, and then that the previous order does not bar both the president and much of the federal government from exercising their own lawful authorities to withhold funding without the prior approval of the district court, meaning, again, they can disperse the monies that they created within the law, within the confines of the law, and that the government does not have to seek pre-clearance from the courts on terminating funding as long as they have the authority to do it, as governed by the applicable statutory, regulatory, or grant terms. So essentially, the court is confirming what the Trump administration has maintained and what common sense can project, which is that within the confines of regulatory and normal authority, of course, you can do what you want with your own money, and you don't need a court's approval to do so.
Yeah, that's
so clarifying that the government can
Wow.
limit access to federal funds on the
Imagine that. The president has powers. It was amazing to see how Democrats, again, and their activist judges continue to take away. And remember, they did this the first 4 years. Trump couldn't get anything done. He was fighting impeachment. He was fighting the lies. He's fighting the Russia hoax. That's what they want to do again. And guess what Trump's doing? He's got a fully automatic machine gun, and it's just going off. He is nailing these people to the wall when it comes to all the things. Promises made, promises kept. We're even going to get into one where he got a prisoner released. But remember Judge John Bates? That's the judge who ordered the Trump administration to restore the website info on gender ideology and sex change operations. Like, our government should not be involved. If anything, when you type up sex change, it should bring you to a mental health page where you can locate a psychiatrist, something that'll help you out. But no, Judge Bates was the one who ordered the admin to the Trump administration to restore the website info. This was out here. His wife, Carol Rees, founder and president of Hope for Children Fund. Guess who they get their funding from? You got it. USAID. USAID, the one that we're getting all this corruption out of. It says his wife, Carol Rees, the founder of Hope for Children in Ethiopia, and has been a very long recipient of USAID. Take a look at this. This is the judge. And there you have Carol Rees, founder and president. It's amazing what you find out, huh? It's amazing how these people, I guess you could say they're in a little bit of a struggle. I couldn't imagine. There's been a lot of lies thrown my way. A lot of the people out there that sit and dwell in their basement, and they hate what I do because I try to provide you guys with information that you won't see on the regular news. When we go out and we live stream, we're unedited. We cover 8, 12, 10 hours, depending on where we're at. And they hate that because this is how the truth gets out. The truth isn't getting out on CNN, Fox News, or anywhere else. But just think about this conflict of interest. His wife is literally funded by one of the organizations that has been completely dismantled. And it's upset. And now what we're seeing too is, I'm going to pull this up, Kathy Harris, who Trump removed from the Merit System Protection Board, which hears federal employees' grievances, has filed suit and is asking to be reinstated, says her termination is illegal. There's been multiple lawsuits against Trump for people that he has gotten rid of because either their lack of America First. Remember, if you're going to be working under the Trump administration in any type of appointed position and you don't have the best interest of the American people, America First, you need to be gone. And that's what Trump's doing. But I just wanted to let you know there is a lot of those going on. We don't have time to cover today. We're already 40 minutes into here. And so we're going to be hitting that later. Now, excuse me. James O'Keefe strikes again. inside the Treasury Department. We have seen yesterday, we had seen 4 FEMA employees that went against President Trump's orders, fired. We're going to talk about it today. They got that $59 million back. But let's watch this video from OMG Media, O'Keefe Media Group, and listen to what this guy says. We probably won't watch it all, but I'm going to let you get a good picture of it.
Nate Johnson says that Doge should not have access to the Treasury.
There are people that I know working for the government for like 40 years, and they don't say much. I hate to say it. I know a few.
Meet Nathaniel Johnson, policy advisor for the United States Department of the Treasury.
Basically, no one's quitting. They've always essentially done it. They're said, like, you're going to have to fire.
The policy advisor for the Treasury declares that what Elon is doing is, quote, government-sanctioned harassment.
Every single federal employee got the email last Monday or Tuesday that basically said, we're offering you the option to retire. No one has ever done that before. 2, no one thinks it's legal. It's not going to do anything, and it's going to fire the wrong people. It's like government sanctioned harassment.
Nate Johnson says that Doge should not have access to the Treasury Department. He says due to, quote, risks to national security.
It's weird because it's like no one knows what they want to do with the system. This is like what I deal with is like vulnerabilities, risk, and stuff like that. It's that person who has access, who shouldn't have access, can take that information and give it to someone who they shouldn't give it access to. Or they could give it to a foreign country. You can be American and you can still give that information away.
I also spoke directly to Nate Johnson. You say Elon is doing this because he, quote, really cares about money more than they do the country. Do you think Elon Musk cares more about money than the country?
I don't believe I ever said that.
I think that there is a class of people in this country who care more about money than they do about the country. If you show him that what he really cares about is money, so in theory all he wants is money.
Why not speak now publicly? Why not talk to a reporter about the things that you told a stranger?
Again, I'm going to ask that you do not publish my name. I'm not giving permission.
Listen, I'm an investigative reporter. I don't get permission from people. That's not what I do.
I'm again going to have to ask that you please don't name me.
You're asking me to bury a story.
I'm declining to speak to you any further.
I am going to do this story, with or without your permission.
So, for those of you that want to see the full, there's another, there's some extra video. We're not going to play it all. But unfortunately for him, he's been caught. And I thought this was funny. Before and after of the LinkedIn, check this out. You got Nathaniel Johnson right there, policy advisor. Oh no, that doesn't exist anymore. No more existing on the LinkedIn. I love it. I love it. And I promise you, there's going to be some heads rolling here. I love this right here. So CNN has been going overtime on big balls, hairy balls. Listen to Scott Jennings on CNN. And the left is trying to say Elon Musk has not been transparent. I think that's funny. He was just doing a press conference for like 35 minutes yesterday, answering every question. He's told people where to look. He's not doing anything illegal. He's finding out where your tax dollars are going, and Democrats hate that. Why? Well, because, again, this is their slush fund. This is their piggy bank. Listen to this.
I mean,
this is just gangster.
You can make it now.
What
did you think of that press conference, Tom?
Well, look, Elon Musk, who doesn't need to do this, has, he could be doing anything else. He's got companies. He's the richest guy in the world. Has decided to give his own time to a government of a country that he loves, that has given him all this opportunity. I take him at his word that he wants to be transparent, that he invites transparency. Obviously, everybody in the English-speaking world media is looking into him every single day. I would have no fear if I were him about Congress,
He hasn't been
asking
by the
questions and looking into it. I think they
the
are.
definition of it is he's not been on the front end of this so far. He's not been transparent. I mean, there may be
They are making routine announcements about the things they are finding, and they are inviting questions about the things they are finding every single day.
But by definition, he's not being transparent. They're not providing data for the things that they say they have found evidence of. They just aren't.
Well, I mean, the White House has provided.
You can make announcements, and he also did admit that he actually.
You just don't believe it. I mean, they are providing information. You just choose not to believe that it's true.
I don't think anyone should just believe that it's true. Do you think that people have taken kickbacks of tens of billions of dollars from USAID?
Here's what I think.
Do you believe that?
I think every year.
No, but don't accuse me of just like.
I'm just asking you. Do you believe that there is any level of fraud, waste, fraud, abuse?
No, that's not what you're asking me, and I'm going to ask the question. Don't accuse me of just like.
And so, if you believe that, do you believe that it's possible that they are finding and producing information about it? Of course.
That wasn't my question. My question was, by definition, they're not being transparent. They can continue to be successful.
What do you want them to do?
Provide data if they're provide data that they have found people. Everyone would want to know if someone has received kickbacks to the tune of tens of millions of dollars.
I don't disagree with you. I love the idea of data. I love the announcements. I love them putting out regular reports of what they're doing.
Not.
And I love the idea of Congress also bringing them up to report to Congress on what they're finding, because ultimately Congress needs to be engaged in this as well. I have no problem with that, and I don't think they do either, and that's what I heard in his press conference yesterday.
Okay.
So he just killed her again. When you talk about transparency and you talk about everything that's going on, what we've seen over the last 4 years, there were 6 months where Joe Biden didn't even give a press conference. We had Democrats saying he was sharpering attack, covering up, which was another big scandal here in the United States in our government. But being transparent, when they're showing you where the money is, what they're telling you, we're shutting this down. We're going to stop funding to this. We don't want this to this. We don't want your tax dollars to go to transgender operas in Serbia or wherever it was. Listen to New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu also destroying CNN, destroying Anderson Cooper in a back and forth about Elon Musk and Dodge. Listen to this.
They have to sit there and take the questions, but they do. That's all on the website. It's all out there. It's 1,000 pages. And I have to be clear, to complain about this administration about transparency, when this president takes open questions on a daily basis, yet Joe Biden didn't show up for a press conference in 6 months, is insane. Well, these guys are being extremely transparent. They don't have to sit there and take the questions, but they do. That's all on the website. It's all out there.
It's not transparency to say things that have no factual background. I mean, to say we're cutting, we found $1 billion or $1 trillion in waste with no specifics, that's just talk. That's not transparency.
It's 23 days in here, guys. 23 days. You were talking about 2.3 billion that was saved last year. These guys are saving 2.3 billion a day.
But
It's incredible.
That's what they're saying. But where's the proof?
You're waiting. You're not going to be satisfied till he shows up with 10,000 pages.
He's giving very specific things,
yes,
but he's not actually giving any evidence of that.
It's all going to come, because what they also said was, if we have to go to Congress, we'll go to Congress.
Right, but
we'll show where
some of the details that have come out, like the $59 million spent on luxury hotels, it's actually not
talking about the FEMA money that was abused for migrants. That was FEMA money for migrants. That's okay now.
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. Don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be a dick. What I'm saying is,
don't be a dick. Call them out. Call them out. And we're going to talk about that 59 million. I love it when CNN is speechless, when they're trying to do the bidding of the Democrat Party. We've said mainstream legacy media has been been funded by your tax dollars. They are an arm of the Democrat Party. And speaking of what was going on, let's just listen to how, we've seen the decline of the Democrat Party, but let's look at how bad it's gotten, because they're not running on policy. They're not saying, hey, there's some government waste. We want to be part of, saving the taxpayers' money. Nothing. It's full gone. Let's attack. We got Elon derangement syndrome. We got Doge derangement syndrome. We got Trump derangement syndrome. And here's one of the greatest Democrats there are when it comes to this stuff. Open borders advocate Robert Garcia. Take a listen to this.
Which is also critical, which we have to also stop. And we should not stand by as the richest man on the planet gives himself and his companies huge tax cuts while the American people get absolutely nothing. Now, I find it ironic, of course, that our chairwoman, Congresswoman Green, is in charge of running this committee. Now, in the last Congress, Chairwoman Green literally showed a dick pic in our oversight congressional hearing, so I thought I'd bring one as well. Now, this, of course, we know is President Elon Musk. He's also the world's richest man. He was the biggest political donor in the last election. He has billions of dollars in conflicts of interest, and we know that he is leading a power grab, also abided by and encouraged by Donald Trump and, of course, the chairwoman, Congresswoman Green. But I also want to run through what Doge actually is going to do. It's a demolition plan that's going to run through our government. Doge is trying to abolish the Department of Education. That means opportunities denied to kids. It means you're ripping away opportunities for children with disabilities who are dependent on this money. You
notice how I don't know, I should have looked this up, but again, out of all the kids that are failing, graduating high school with a 5th grade reading level, they're not disabled. They're just not educated. They're dumb. They graduate from school dumb. And we spend 4 times more per pupil than other countries and have worse results than those other countries. Again, insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. We need to abolish the teachers' unions. I'm telling you right now, think about it. Remember during COVID? Oh, it's fine to go back to class. Nope, we're going to hold the kids hostage till we get a pay increase. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is what he's defending. Listen.
Halting medical research, which is also critical, which we have to also stop. The idea that we are going to eliminate or destroy the Department of National Institutes of Health and NIH is crazy. Let's talk about the Department of Labor. We're talking about protections for working people across this country, where people can actually complain about abuses the companies are making against them and their coworkers. Workers are now going to be in danger. Let's also talk about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, another huge issue for us. Think about the scammers and fraudsters that will be empowered across this country. Because
they are the scammers and fraudsters, the Democrats that are defending this.
Over consumers and over people across.
That was just one of the speeches. I'm going to show you a couple others because there's some other DEI folks up there, others that made a lot of campaign donations by what they do in their bedroom and were funded by far left organizations. Speaking of that, which one is coming up right now? Watch this.
Audits and fingerprints expired on now because for whatever reason we had a guy that went in, and you talk about people invading our data. Listen, that they were upset about TikTok, but I'm upset about the guy that runs Twitter, who for sure is doing nefarious things, because I don't understand. If you were trying to conduct audits and figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, I don't know why you would go to some tech guy. In fact, it was only techies that were sitting there at NRU.
Some tech guy, huh? So some tech guy, some guy that runs multiple business. The government actually needs him. We have astronauts stuck on a space station, and we had to contract with them because our U.S. government, our NASA operations, our programs can't do the job without SpaceX. And I just find it amazing. Again, that tax, they have no value. I don't care if the guy works as a garbage truck driver. If he can audit and cut waste, the waste that your group, the congressional oversight, has not done in my lifetime. Think about that for a minute.
operation. We didn't have auditors. I would welcome auditors to come in and do forensic audits. In fact, he sat there in the Oval Office yesterday and he admitted that he was lying and he was using his propaganda machine to do it when he said that we sent millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. That was a lie. So let me tell you something.
The
For
gentle
duly
lady's
elected,
time has expired.
it is time for
The
us
gentle
to
lady's
do our
time has
jobs
expired.
and rein in this rogue actor known
Little head bobbing there. Head bobbing. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee out there boxing. And this is another good example. Again, why does Elon Musk have contracts with the federal government? Because the federal government needs him. He doesn't need the federal government. And these people can't quite understand that yet. Listen to this bonehead.
For Elon Musk, not for you. They are at least 5 inspector generals that were looking into Elon Musk's companies were fired by the Trump-Musk administration. These inspector generals, who are independent, protected by...
So just in case you guys are just getting off the boat right now and you don't have a clue, yes, Joe Biden weaponized many of the departments to go after people that were not on board with the Marxism, with the fascism that Joe Biden was trying to bring in. There was even a report yesterday, and I didn't bring it up. I'm going to work on this program, and I might be doing another live stream a little later, and maybe I can cover it then. But that the White House was in contact with the DOJ planning the raid for the documents case on Mar-a-Lago. Somebody did a FOIA from the National Archives and got some of those emails, and they're pretty damning. But yes, everybody that was weaponized and went along with it should be fired. Should be fired. And people like this guy need to have a good opponent that runs against him so that we can get America First priorities back.
Law, they are the people that find the waste, fraud, and abuse and found many of the cases of waste, fraud, and abuse that have been brought up today, fired because they were looking into Elon Musk. At the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, which is supposed to protect workers from getting their unions busted by folks like Elon Musk, made functionally broken by the so-called Department of Government Efficiency that really is the Department of Government Efficiency for Elon Musk, not for you. They are trying to shut down the Department of Education, the Department of Labor. You know what Elon Musk doesn't seem to be looking into? His own contracts. Again, I'll ask you, Mr. Talco, do you know how much money a day Mr. Musk will receive from the federal government for his contracts?
No.
The answer is $8 million a day. Just last year, Elon Musk was promised $3 billion from close to 100 contracts with the federal government. Ms. Royal, do you know how much the average person in this country who survives on Social Security, one of our seniors who's worked their entire life, about how much they have to survive on a day?
I do not.
$65 a day. We're not looking into Elon Musk's $8 million a day.
So again, this completely taking out of context here. When you look at it, look at the thousands upon thousands of people that are employed by these companies. And again, if you don't need it, if you want your astronauts to be stuck up in space, cancel the contracts. These are all contracts that he's had for a long time. And we've actually realized, just like when we had the hurricanes in North Carolina and the government went against Elon because they were mad because he was speaking out mainly against the government censorship of the American people. Look at what they did. They canceled his Starlink contract. And guess what happened when they had a hurricane? Elon had to donate them because guess what? They spent all this money and nobody had any internet. Nobody had any connectivity. These people are beyond retards. Again, and they're paid to do this. This is how they get their donations. Speaking of Doge, let's take a little listen.
These are screenshots of contracts that Doge found across our government. This is a DEI contract. And as for the actual receipts, we are happy to provide them. And I actually brought some today because all of you know I love to bring the receipts. We have contracts upon contracts that we can send and provide this information to you. Let me be very clear. We are not trying to hide anything. We have been incredibly transparent and we will continue to be. These are screenshots of contracts that DOJ found across our government. This is a DEI contract, $36,000 for U.S. citizenship and immigration services. That is against the president's policies and his America First agenda. This is a $3.4 million contract, a Council for Inclusive Innovation at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Commerce, another DEI contract that DOJ identified. I can continue to go through these. Oh, I love this one, $57,000 for climate change in Sri Lanka. What is this doing to continue the interests of the American people? Absolutely nothing. These are the line items across the federal government that DOJ is identifying daily. They're moving very fast. There's a lot of paper that we can show you, but we're happy to do it. This administration has been more than transparent about what DOJ is doing. And here's one of their tweets that they posted about the mine. I believe this is in Pennsylvania, where the federal employee retirement system is being processed. Did anybody know this was even happening in our country before Elon Musk talked about it in the Oval Office yesterday? A lot of Americans didn't. So we are providing transparency and accessibility on a daily basis when it comes to DOJ. And I also have a DOJ daily report, if anybody would like it, on all of the things that they are identifying and finding. We're happy to provide this information to you. We're talking about it every single day.
Drop the mic. Drop the mic. This is what Democrats are so afraid of. They knew all this stuff was going on. This doesn't surprise any of them, and many of the Republicans knew about it too. Republicans have talked about this, that these agencies and these NGOs were weaponized against America, and now we're finally learning that. As we've talked about it for a long time, but you know what I mean. Elon Musk tweeted, as it becomes clear that DOJ is working, you will see the long-term Treasury bill yields fall. And all Americans will benefit from lower interest payments on mortgages, small business debt, and credit cards and other loans. I think that's a win for the American people, because under Joe Biden, they were the highest of my lifetime. Highest of my lifetime. It cost, I don't know what it is right now, but 5-6 months ago, it cost 2.5 times more to buy my house now than it did 9 years ago when I bought it. And that's not because the price went up. That was because of interest rates. Let's see, moving on. So Democrats are fighting this right now. Democrats are fighting this right now. And I just love this. This is their Rapid Response Task Force. And you know who is chairing this and co-chairs? Listen to this. We talked about this yesterday. Or was it today? I don't know. All the days go together. I think it was yesterday when we showed you the gentleman, 76 years old, that just totally froze like Mitch McConnell when he was on the House floor, showing Mitch McConnell being wheeled out looking like a vegetable. House Democrat leader Jeffries announces Rapid Response Task Force, co-chaired by 81-year-old Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, Congressman Jerry Connolly, 74, and Jamie Raskin, 62. I mean, Jamie Raskin pulling in at 62 is like a teenager on that team. And this is from the dollar store Obama. He says, "Dear colleagues, I write with respect to our ongoing effort to push back against far-right extremism that is being relentlessly unleashed on the American people. We are engaged in a multifaceted struggle to protect and defend everyday Americans from the harm being inflicted by this administration. As outlined last week, it's an all-hands-on-deck effort simultaneously underway in Congress, the courts, and the community. In connection with this effort, House Democrats have formally established a Rapid Response Task Force and Litigation Working Group. I have asked Assistant Leader Joe Nigg to co-chair this task force, which will be co-chaired by Reps. Rosa DeLauro, Jerry Conley, and Jamie Raskin. If you are interested in participating, please contact Rep. Nagus or one of the other co-chairs this week. It says House Democrats are committed. This is funny. House Democrats are committed to driving down the high cost of living for everyday Americans. We recognize that there are far too many people in this country struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. It said that's not acceptable in the wealthiest country in the history of this world. In this regard, we will continue to solve problems for hardworking American taxpayers in order to improve the quality of life. I'm lost here. They just had 4 years. We had almost 10% inflation. We had some of our grocery prices go up 40%, not because of a bird flu, not because of something we couldn't control, but because of the Inflation Reduction Act, a lie to the American people, which the tie-breaking vote was Kamala Harris, the VP. Your insurance rates, your electricity rates, everything has gone up. And that's why President Trump is trying to cut costs, because the biggest driver of inflation is spending. And what else is he doing? He wants to be the energy leader again, which will bring down the cost. It was interesting, they were saying that, again, President Elon Musk. I like the way Marjorie Taylor Greene clarified that. Take a look.
2014 called the U.S. President Trump signed an executive order on his first day in office called Establishing and Implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency. The EO simply renamed an office in the White House that was actually established by President Obama in 2014 called the U.S. Digital Service. President Trump can have Elon Musk into his Oval Office anytime he likes. President Trump signed an executive order on his first day in office called
Anytime he wants, folks. Anytime he wants. And they are not liking it. Now, so on another note, I want to read this post from President Donald Trump. It said, I just had a lengthy and highly productive phone call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. We discussed Ukraine, the Middle East, energy, artificial intelligence, the power of the dollar, and various other subjects. We both reflected on the great history of our nations and the fact that we fought so successfully together in World War II, remembering that Russia lost tens of millions of people and we, likewise, lost so many. We each talked about the strengths of our prospective nations and the greatest benefit that we will someday have in working together. But first, as we both agreed, we want to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war with Russia and Ukraine. President Putin even used my very strong campaign motto of common sense. We both believe very strongly in it. We agreed to work together very closely, including visiting each other's nations. We have also agreed to have a respective team start negotiating immediately, and we will begin by calling President Zelensky of Ukraine to inform him of the conversation, something which I will be doing right now. I have asked Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of the CIA John Ratcliffe, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, and Ambassador to the Special Envoy Steve Witkoff to lead the negotiations, which I feel strongly will be successful. Millions of people have died in a war that would not have happened if I were president, but it did happen, so it must end. No more lives should be lost. I want to thank President Putin for his time and effort with respect to this call, and for the release yesterday of Mark Fogel, a wonderful man that I personally greeted last night at the White House. I believe this effort will lead to successful conclusions, hopefully soon. Democrats are panicking. The warmongers are panicking. The people that are engaged into the embezzlement and funneling money to Ukraine are outraged right now. Listen to what press secretary said.
I have a couple of updates for you this morning or this afternoon. As you know, this morning, the president spoke to President Putin of Russia. They spoke at length, and the president released a statement following that conversation in great detail. I can also confirm that the president just recently got off the phone with President Zelensky of Ukraine. His truth is as follows. I just spoke to President Zelensky of Ukraine. The conversation went very well. He, like President Putin, wants to make peace. We discussed a variety of topics having to do with the war, but mostly the meeting that is being set up on Friday in Munich, where Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio will lead the delegation. I am hopeful that the results of that meeting will be positive. It is time to stop this ridiculous war where there has been massive and totally unnecessary death and destruction. God bless the people of Russia and Ukraine. I myself just spoke to the president about these calls, and he told me to tell all of you they were very good calls, they were very positive, and the administration is wholeheartedly committed to a peace deal to end once and for all the Russia-Ukraine war. More on that later. I'm sure you'll have more questions to ask.
Again, this was one of his big campaign promises. This was one of his big campaign promises to stop the useless deaths of millions of people, soldiers from both Ukraine and Russia. And again, Democrats, and I'm not a fan of Russia. I don't think any of us are a fan of Russia. But whenever Democrats go after somebody like they go after Trump, you know there is an ulterior motive there. Trump, I don't know how many of you remember, I don't have the picture up right now, when he walked into the denuclearized military zone in North Korea, when every other president before, whether it was a Republican or Democrat, sat there with binoculars looking over there. And Trump has a great mindset, a business mindset, not a politician mindset, on how to get his way and get what America needs. When Trump gets his way, we get our way. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. Speaking of Mark Fogel, check this out.
And I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now. And I want you to know that I am not a hero in this at all. And President Trump is a hero. These men that came from the diplomatic service are heroes. The senators and representatives that passed legislation in my honor to get me home are the heroes. I'm in awe of what they all did. My family has been a force. I think my 95-year-old mother is probably the most dynamic 95-year-old on earth right now. And I am so indebted to so many people. I think I remember a Churchill quote that he said when the RAF was fighting the Luftwaffe, and he said that never have so many owed so much to so few. And I put myself, fortunately and unfortunately, into that category. And I said, never has one owed so much to so many, that this superorganism of people that came to my support and the love that I was given sustained me for 3.5 years in prison, and that had me in hospitals for more than 100 days. I was given more than 400 injections in that time. And knowing I had the support of my fellow Pennsylvanians, my family, my friends, it was so overwhelming that it brought me to my knees and it brought me to tears. But it was my energy, it was my being that kept me going that whole time. And I will forever be indebted to President Trump, to Steve over there. What a dynamic man this guy is.
That's true.
when I met him.
Incredible,
Yeah.
incredible story there. Released after what, 4 years in captivity, still had another like 10 years in jail or something like that in Russia. And listen to what Steve Witkoff said.
Was bring him home. Do what you needed to. I can tell you that the president's direction to me was bring him home. Do what you needed to do to bring him home. Bring him home to his family. And you can see, he stayed up last night to greet him personally. He walked him around, gave him a tour of the White House, brought him into the Lincoln Room. His message was, no one gets left behind. That was a message of hope to every American who's being held in a foreign jail.
This is the basics of who delivered to you the final word once it was done, who communicated to you it happened.
I got a call that he was going to be at the airport, and from somebody, and I called the president. He was delighted. He said, "Get over there fast." I met Mark in the airport. We walked him onto the plane. We said to him, "You're close to being in U.S. territory now." We had a de-ice, and we de-iced. We got in the air. We got out of Russian airspace. We called everybody back in the United States. He was doing a jig. Called his whole family. And when we touched down at Andrews, I said, "Now you're on U.S. soil," and I think he began singing. So it was pretty special.
Man, what a difference! What a difference we're seeing right now under this. Good to see. Good to see. As I mentioned earlier, let's check this out. Secretary Kristi Noem, I have clawed back the full payment that FEMA deep state activists unilaterally gave to New York City migrant hotels. FEMA was funding the Roosevelt Hotel that serves as a Tren de Aragua base of operations and was used to house Laken Riley's killer. Mark my words, there will not be a single penny spent that goes against the interest and the safety of the American people. That is good stuff. Hold on. Okay, I wanted to make sure my audio was working in the background. Promises made, promises kept, putting your safety, your tax dollars at work for you. That's what we voted on. And so the Pope had some things to say about Tom Homan and our border operation. And I love Tom Homan's response. I've used this response too before. Listen.
He's got to run around the for the Pope. Pope wants to fix the Catholic Church. I'm saying this as a lifelong Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. I was the first communion as a Catholic, confirmation as a Catholic. You ought to fix the Catholic Church and concentrate on his work and leave border enforcement to us. He wants to attack us for securing our border. He's got to run around the Vatican, does he not? So he's got to run around and protect his people and himself, but we can't have a wall around the United States. So I wish he'd stick to the Catholic Church and fix that and leave border enforcement to us.
I like that. I like that a lot. I agree 100%. The Catholic Church has a lot of fixing to do. They need an Elon Musk to come in there with a sledgehammer, to be exact. But and also the hypocrisy that the Vatican has a wall around it that protects him and his people. Now, I want this was shared by Auden B. Cabello. The effects of what's going on with Trump's leadership, with what he's doing on the border. I'm going to read this off to you. I'll pull up the tweet here in a minute. But it says a report of potential ceasefire between rival cartels has been reached. It says one of the stipulations of the agreement is the cessation of fentanyl trafficking. The ceasefire was negotiated under pressure from the Mexican federal government and Tamaulipas state government. The significant concern regarding the Trump's administration to designate cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. So it's getting them to move a little bit over there. I want to pull this up right here. We'll put this on board. Let's see if it'll let me. Says some points of the ceasefire agreement between Grupo Escorpion and Metros. Territorial control is no longer challenged. Rio Bravo is now firmly Grupo Escoporian control. No more fentanyl trafficking. Migrants deported are not to be harmed. If a commander of one of these groups threatens the ceasefire, Grupo Escorpion and Metros will go after him. The ceasefire agreement was made due to pressure from the Mexican federal government and the state government. There is genuine concerns about Trump's executive order when he designated them terrorist organizations. That's crazy when you have cartels calling for a ceasefire. When you say, hey, we're not going to traffic the fentanyl. They're going to traffic everything else, but you know the biggest thing on the radar right now is fentanyl. It would be incredible to see that, again, by having Trump in office, having a strong leader in office, that we see the trafficking of fentanyl go down substantially. It kills hundreds of thousands of people in the United States. It's infecting our kids. It is a poison. And Trump met with parents who had lost children, and he vowed to end all that. So great news for him. Want to say thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you guys want to help out, we appreciate it. We are 100% viewer funded, and we can't do it without you. Any amount helps, $5, $10, $20. You can donate at Venmo at Oreo Josh, Cash App, $Oreo Army, and givesendgo.com/Oreo 2024. We also have a website. The website is theoreoexpress.com. It has a Zelle link. You can go to the Donate Now button. All our links are there. We can't do this without you guys. We've been fighting cancel culture for years. We've been canceled off everything from Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all because we report the truth, and especially when we're out live streaming on the roads, bringing you coverage that no legacy media can. So thank you all for tuning in. Oh, let's see. Haha gifted some memberships. I didn't think Haha was still around. She went missing. Thank you, Haha. Idaho Girl, Bug Thug, Trina G, C. Marsha. Right on. Thank you so much for that, Haha. And once again, I apologize about the audio. I'm going to work again for the next 3 hours, and I think there's enough news going on that we will do a second show. We got a lot to work on here. I can't figure out the audio, why it works sometimes, why it doesn't. But we will be back with you guys soon. And just want to say thank you and God bless you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Let's see how we do this. Here we go.